So I had a couple of thoughts this morning that I thought would be share worthy on here. I was out harvesting some more nettle plants, and actually I've been out harvesting probably about a week now. Every day I've made some time for harvesting. I've harvested Saskatoon berries, um, wild currants, sneezeweed, mint, um, nettle, and yeah, I'm trying to get in a little bit, a couple hours a day of harvesting, while the season's in play, because winter is going to come, and then I'm going to be kicking myself for not harvesting. In any case, and it's also, you know, I see it as a potential little extra little stream, potential stream of revenue if I can sell some of my harvest. So if anybody is interested in some loose leaf nettle, dried and cleaned already, which makes a good tea, makes a nice, colorful, and tasteful tea. In fact, if I'm making mint tea, like I harvested mint, I've got mint drying up here. Couple of little, bundles of mint. Um, but mint, when you make it into a tea, it's not very colorful. And so if I make mint tea, a lot of times I'll mix it with the nettle. Or if I make, a licorice tea with licorice root, I'll mix it with the nettle. The nettle gives it nice color, and I don't have to buy any commercial tea to give it that color, and then it adds a little flavor to it as well. And it's good for you. And I usually eat the steeped leaves after I make the tea. You can even just use the leaves and make like a pot herb, like a spinach and that kind of a thing. So if anybody's interested in purchasing some dry nettle, I'm selling it by the large Ziploc bag full. Just message me or something, and we'll make a deal. Today, I was out there harvesting nettle, and I was having these. I had a really, I think, a good, not an insight that's brand new for me, but a reminder. I was at this really nice patch of nettle, and I saw in the midst of this patch this one very, very tall specimen, if you will, and probably about 7 feet. I took a picture of myself standing beside it, and it was very tall, much taller than me. And when I saw the plant, my first response was, oh, I've got to get that one, because I could see it was leafy all the way, down. And it was so tall. It was a really nice nettle. Thought I got to get that one. And I started my harvest, working my way toward it. I didn't get very far when when I checked myself, and I thought, no, you're not going to pick that plant. There's no reason for you to pick that plant. That is the best plant of this whole patch, right? So you leave that one alone. In fact, you look around this patch and you pick out the ones that are really nice looking, and you just leave those ones. Okay, leave them to go to seed. If you can figure out some way to nurture them, to enact like Art Simpscott's and to give back, to reciprocate to the nettle, leave those big ones, right? Leave those really nice ones. Even maybe bring some fertilizer or something to help the patch along in the coming season, the next season. When that time comes around. But leave those nice big ones, let them seed out, and let the future generations, let their descendants be prolific, right? This is the way, the human way, the indigenous human way, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Most people are not going to recognize it when they look around them, but all of the plants and the animals that we live with have been put through a selection process, right? Natural selection, and we're part of that. We're not outside of nature, and in fact, we can be very conscious of it. And I think a lot of animals are. This is not just us, but a lot of animals that look for the when they're looking at food, they look for the easy pickings. That's why, summer is really a harvest of babies. This is why we have more babies than we need. We have lots of babies because we know that in nature, 80% of them are going to be harvested as babies, harvested already. And the ones that are best adapted are going to remain, hopefully, to reproduce. And that's how we've operated too, consciously, for many thousands of generations. And the earth we inherited reflects that. The plants that we see around us are those that have been selected and selected and selected, especially the food plants. Right? This is how agriculture and food comes about, through this kind of selection. And it's only been very, very recent times, very, very recent years, as Europe went through some dark periods and then began colonizing everywhere. This more recent modern era has led to a situation where now we've got guys going around who are looking for the very best specimens of a species just to kill them and hang them on their wall. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this lion that was killed just recently in I think Zimbabwe, the Cecil lion that was the subject of a study, and then he was very famous, and people that go on safaris there were always interested in seeing Cecil because he was such a great specimen of an African lion. And then along comes this American dentist who wants to go on a killing safari, and he hires some local guys there, local guides, and they bait Cecil out of the wildlife park, and then in the night shoot him, skin him, and take his head and leave the body there to rot. This is what we've become, and this is not human, right? This has no thought for the future. This is just completely greedy, one man wanting to take something beautiful and possess it for his own, and feel like a big guy because he went out and killed it himself. It's a sickness. It's a modern sickness, and we need to get back to paying very much attention to making sure that the best are the ones that propagate into the future. The best need to be protected. They need to be sheltered. They need to be, well, not too sheltered that they become weak, but they need to be left alone by us, and if anything, nurtured a bit. And this is our way. I remember going through this archaeological collection when I was working for the Confederate Grand Tribes of Oregon. Went through a collection in Portland, and the archaeologist was showing me there's acorns that were bigger than any modern acorns. There's elk bones that were much, much larger than any modern elk bones. And the reason was because the people there had been selective. They'd been selected and selected. And it hasn't taken long for this modern culture, this mainstream modern culture, to start reverting some of that because of this termination of the best, of the largest animals, the most magnificent, just for greed, right? So we need to get away from that, and I'm going to be conscious of it, try to remain conscious of it all the time in my own harvesting, in my own hunting, and all of this. Not to take the best of the best, right? Those ones should stay. Those ones should stay, and the future will be theirs. So right now I'm just making some jelly I've made I'm brewing a half bullberry, half choke cherry jelly. Gonna can it. I got my jars heating up there, sterilization. I've got this this paste. This is what's left over after I juice. I got this paste of the bullberry, paste of the choke cherry, and actually the paste itself is very good. I'm gonna jar some of that too. So I've got a lot of berry harvest ahead of me, and a lot of canning, processing and stuff to do, preservation stuff to do. So again, if anybody's interested in getting some wild berry jelly or anything of the sort, let me know. The stuff that I pick is 100% organic, 100% natural, 100% wild. That's going into this. Of course, I got to put some sugar into it too, right, to make the jelly thicken and sweet. But yeah, anybody who's interested, let me know. And those are my thoughts this morning that I believe need to be shared.